Good morning, everyone. In this session, we will discuss about how to create a first Azure Data Factory pipeline. Okay. So by the end of this session, you all get to know what are Azure Data Factory components, what is blob storage, and what is headless Chain2. These are storage accounts. You'll see what are those, and also you'll see the difference between blob storage and headless Chain2. We will also see how to create a storage accounts. So how to create a blob storage account, how to create a headless Chain2 storage account. And then we will also see how to create a linked service, how to create a data set, how to create a pipeline by using a copy activity. Okay. So you'll see all these things one by one. Okay. So you'll get to know all these things by the end of this day. Okay. So to start with, what is Azure Data Factory? I hope most of you already know what is Azure Data Factory. We'll see what is Azure Data Factory. Okay, Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based ETL tool. ETL means extract, transform, unroll. So you might have already heard about this. So extract in the sense we will extract data from different kinds of source. We'll transform the data as per the business requirement and we'll load it in the destination. And this is used for ingesting data from different relational, non-relational data sources. Source can be anything. It can be a structured data. It can be unstructured data. It can be a semi-structured data. And it can be relational, non-relational data sources. So relational, non-relational data sources covers all this structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. These data might be hosted in the cloud or locally in our data centers. Okay, so the data might be available in the cloud storage itself, or it might be available in a client local data centers also. So we'll bring all this data and we'll load it in the somewhere else. Also, Azure Data Factory is used for transforming the data to meet the business requirement. Also, like we have a data flows for transforming the data. We'll use data flows and we'll transform the data as per the business segment. So that is the reason we're having Azure Data Factory. We'll use Azure Data Factory for that. So if you don't know like what are the types of data we have, we'll also cover that. So we have mainly three types of data: structured data. This is how our structured data look like. It will be in the proper. It is represented by proper columns and rows. Okay, mostly the databases like SQL database and also file formats like Excel, CSV. All these are like good examples of this. Okay, and then we have semi-structured data. So it doesn't contain structure, but it still have some kind of a structure to it. So this is the example you may have. Okay, column value, column value, column value. Okay. So the good examples for semi-structured data is JSON and XML files. Okay. Also we have unstructured data. So data does not organize in a predefined format or doesn't have a predefined data model. Examples for that are image files or video files. Okay, so this doesn't have any kind of a format, we cannot read it. So those are the examples. We have image and video files. Okay. Now, so this is like the basic details, like what is Azure Data Factory, what kind of data we have. Now we'll quickly discuss how can we create a pipeline. What are the things required for creating a pipeline? Okay, all these things we'll discuss one by one. Okay, right. So for demo purpose, to make sure you should have strong basic knowledge on creating a pipelines, creating a link service and data sets. You're going to copy data from cloud to cloud itself. Okay, as I'm talking about, we have storage accounts like a blob storage, headless Gen 2, Gen 1 in the cloud. We'll try to copy data from blob storage to headless Gen 2 itself, copying data from one storage account to another storage account, cloud to cloud only. Okay, now let's say I'm having a storage account as a blob storage. It has a input folder which contains some of the files. Let us say I'm having a file one. I want to copy this data to somewhere else, to some other location. The blob storage is available on the cloud itself. There is Azure Cloud. I want to copy this to the another storage account. the Legend. Both are storage account only, but blob storage is different. Legend is different. I want to copy the data that is available in the input folder, the file one. I want to copy this file to the output folder to the output location. Okay, this is also available in the cloud to cloud only. Okay, so in the real time, what you do is you'll be having a client source here. It might be a on-premises source, maybe on-premise file systems or on-premise SQL server. Like it might be a Snowflake, it might be anything. So copying that data to a storage account to make sure you understand the basics. So first we see we'll copy data from cloud to cloud only. We'll understand all the terminologies, what is required to create a pipeline, and then we'll copy the data. So we have a question in chat box, Nizu. Nizu, what is you're trying to ask? What is your job? Okay, so we'll see like how to copy data from blob storage to ALS2. Okay, so to have this scenario, what are the required things we have? The very first thing we require is linker service. Okay, why this linker service is required? To make sure you need to copy the data to access the files you're having here, the storage account. We need to create a linker service. We need to create a connection to the storage account. If you're able to create a connection to the storage account, then only you can access the files. So that is the reason we are going to create a linker service here. After creating a linked service, then we'll create a data set. These data set help us to pick the exact file where the file is located. Okay. So creating a connection to the source or destination, we require linker service. Once you create a connection, with the help of linker service, we can have access to all the files or folders available in the storage account. That is the reason we create a data set. In the same way, in the destination side also, we have a different storage account, AWS Gen 2. That also, to create a connection to AWS Gen 2 also, we'll create a one more linker service here. And then where you want to place the data, I want to place the data in the output folder. To access the output folder, we'll create a data set. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to create a linked service for both blob storage alias2. Then only with the help of the linked service, we can able to access the data or folders or files, whatever we have inside the storage account, we can access by using a data sets. Okay. So that is the reason we have two linked service. One linked service for blob storage, one linked service for alias2, so that we can access the data or folders inside that. Then we have created a data set to pick the data. We want to copy the destination. And then here also we created one more data set to put the data where you want to put to the output folder. I want to put the data. So that is the reason we have two more data sets here. Okay. So this is the like a scenario. How can we copy the data is by using a copy activity. So all these things will be happening in the pipeline. So the data copy will be happening in the pipeline. We'll copy all this data by using a pipeline. Okay. So this is the simple scenario we're going to cover. If you're confused, like if you're not able to understand, no need to worry about it. We'll have a demo session now itself, lab session, like how we'll create all these things. We're going to cover it now. Okay. So before I start the lab session, did you got some understanding now what exactly are the storage account, what we're trying to do? Is it clear? Did you got at least some understanding? Is it clear to everyone? Dinesh, Hema, Prem. Okay, so please see how to create a lab session. Okay, so let's come to, it doesn't require any of the Azure portal, any of the tools to be installed, only the portal is required. Okay, so the portal link is like this. So click on portal, portal.azure.com. azure.com. So whenever you click this one, you can come to a portal like this. The very first time it will ask for login. Once you get logged in, you can see the home page in this way. Okay. No need to install any other software on your systems. Everything will be on the cloud. You can simply open a browser. You can navigate to this path, portal.azure.com. Okay. Whenever you open it, you can see home page like this. This is like a free trial account to create, like if you want to log into a portal, you need to create an account. Okay. So with the help of credit card only, you can create an account. You'll get a free trial for 28 days. You can use that account. If it is expired, you need to use a one more credit card. You need to get a one more free trial. So you cannot use the same account. Okay. So they won't charge you anything. It's for free. It is for 28 days. Okay. I will also tell you how to create a account by using a credit card. Okay. We'll see like how the environment look like. If you click on these three dots, you can see the menu options for the portal. You can have all the services here, all the resources. Okay. If you click on all service option, all the services that are available in the Azure portal, you can see over here. So there are a lot of services. If you come down, see there are a lot of services. Okay. So in this way, you can navigate to all the services from here. If you come to home page, here we have some other things like Cloud Shell, notification bar, settings. Okay, all these things you can see. Whenever you create a Azure Retail account, you can see something like this. So it will you'll be having a some 14,500 or something, 14,300 credits they will give you for your free account. You can use it for that this credits for 28 days. Okay. Don't use a pay as you go option. If you use this option, it will be chargeable from your credit card. You'll only need to use a retail account. Okay. So it will the subscription name will be a retail. So only go for retail. Don't go for pay as you go. That is chargeable. Retail is a free account that you can use for 28 days. They will give also credits. So you can use those credits for those 28 days. Okay. See, like the current billing period, they will give billing period like this. Suppose if you created a retail account today, so it will be active for next 28 days. Okay. And how much currency, like 14,300 rupees, they will give you. You can use those amount for using those that free account. Okay. You can also check from the subscriptions. If you click on subscriptions, you can see retail that is active. So once you get an account, you can also see check that one. You can click here subscriptions. See, if you click on subscriptions, you can see whether your retail account is created or not, whether your retail is active or not. Everything you can check over there. Okay. So this is how your Azure portal look like. From here, for practice purpose, we need to set up all our things like setting up a storage account, Azure Data Factory will set up all these things. But in real time, you won't create all these things because all these things will be already available. You'll just open those things and we will do our work. Okay. But for practice purpose, we need to set up all these things. The very first thing what I do is I will create a Azure Data Factory. If you come to search bar here and search like Data Factory, see under services, something is coming as a Data Factories. Click on this one. Okay, if already data factories are available, we can see the data factories in this way. In the real time also, whenever you open a data factories, you can see all the data factories that are available in your project. You can see all those data factory names here. But if you want to create one, there is option called create new. Okay, basically you won't create a new Azure data factory in your project. But if you want to practice, we need to create a new one. So let's see how can we create a new one. So click on this plus symbol, create new. So whenever you click on that, so it will open this page. Okay. And then we have some mandatory options here. We need to take care of all these mandatory things. Okay. Subscription is free trial. We have a free trial, so we're going to use a free trial account. And resource group. So there should be one resource group to maintain all services at one place. So these are resource. I'm going to create a new resource group. I will name it as resource 2811. Okay, that will be my resource group name. I will have all the services under this resource group. Okay, and here I need to mention Azure Data Factory name. We are creating Azure Data Factory. It is asking us to give the Azure Data Factory. I will name it as a Azure Data Factory ADF 2811. Okay, so if this name is already taken by someone, this is like a globally unique. You cannot use the same name if already someone is using this. So you can give unique name. Okay, as of now, I'm giving ADF 2811 so that this name is available. No one have created Azure Data Factory with this name. Okay. So I'm giving Azure Data Factory name this region, let it be a standard option. I'm not going to change it. There will be a lot of regions available here. Okay. So based on your data center in your project, your location might have selected. Okay. I'm not going to change it. I will go with the standard option only, version 2. Right now we can see in drop down, you can see only V2. We cannot see any other V1 or something like that. Okay, right now we are using Azure Data Factory version 2. In the version 1, everything was like a coding. By using a coding, you have built up pipelines. But now it has updated right now from 2018 or 2017 ending. We are using a version 2 only. So it doesn't require any coding. Okay. Also V1 is no more active here. You can see it is not giving a drop down also. So these are the options we have. Next we'll come to next option, configure Git later. If you want, you can configure Git repository, or else you can click on Git configure later. So we'll see how to configure Git in the upcoming classes. As of now, we'll use this option, configure Git later. Okay, and then networking. So this is something related to networking. So no need to change anything. We'll go with the by default options. Advanced also, let's go. No need to change anything here. Tags also no need to give anything here. Review plus created. Okay. So we have given only two things, like we have given a resource group name and we have given a other data factory name. Rest all the things we are going with the by default options only. Okay. So validation is done. We're going to create it. In this way, we are going to create a Azure Data Factory. This is just for a practice purpose, but in real time, we won't create Azure Data Factory. It will be already available. Okay. You can see here the deployment is in progress. Okay. So it will take 30 seconds to 1 minute to create it. Okay. It has created already. See. So Azure Data Factory is created. I also want to create a storage accounts, blob storage and headless Gen 2. First, I'm going to create a headless Gen 2. How can I create a headless Gen 2? So for that, we need to search for a storage accounts. So whenever I click on storage, I can see all these options. We require storage accounts. This is what we need to create. Click on this one. So immediately if I click on this one, all the storage accounts, if any storage accounts are available, you can see over here itself. Okay. All your blob storage, LH2, everything you can see from here itself. Okay. This also will be already available in your project. So if you open storage accounts, you can see all the storage accounts already available. But if you want to create one, just click on create option. Okay. So immediately after clicking create option, you'll come to this page. The same way like how we created Azure Data Factory, this is also somewhat similar. Okay, see here, it's asking us subscription details. That is a free tail and resource group name. Resource group name just now I have created while creating Azure Data Factory. I will use the same resource group here also. So what is the resource group name I have given? I have given resource group name as a resource 2811. Here also I'm giving the same resource group so that this service, Azure Data Factory is kind of service, blah, whatever I'm creating now, ADLS chain, this is also one kind of service. All these services will go and sit in a resource group 2811. We can manage all our services from this resource group. Okay, you'll also see that. Okay, the resource group name is 2811. That is what we have already created. I just selected that one. Okay, and then storage account name it is asking. Right now I'm creating a ADLS Gen 2 storage account. So I'm going to give storage account name as a ADLS 2811. Okay, this is the storage account I'm giving for Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Location East US, let it be. I'm not going to change it. Here we have some performance wise. We have two options like standard and premium. Standard is see, it is recommended for general purpose. General purpose in the sense like so this premium will have some advanced features. The standard account is like for general purpose. Okay, so as we are doing for practice purpose, let's go with the standard options only. Premium latency, so recommended for scenarios that require low latency. So low latency in the sense the performance should be fast, data copy should, everything should be fast, should not have a slowness. You should not see some slowness in the pipelines. Okay, so based on the standard and premium option you are selecting, that will be chargeable. Okay, standard option will be somewhat less chargeable. Premium will be somewhat more chargeable as compared to standard. Okay, and then we have also options called redundancy. Okay, so under redundancy there is a lot of locations like local redundant storage, geo redundant storage, zone redundancy, geo zone redundancy. Based on the redundancy you are selecting, so your data will be saved in a different data centers. Okay, see here, local redundant storage is like a low cost option. The cost for this is very less, but it is not a recommended for uncritical scenarios because any some failures or somewhere happens. They can't give a guarantee that you can bring the data back. So backup might not be available. But for zero redundancy, you can see so intermediate option with failover capabilities in a secondary region. Okay, recommended for backup scenarios. So it will be helpful if any disaster or something happen and if you lose the data, so we can have a backups from different locals and different data centers. Okay, so in the same way we have zone redundancy storage and also G redundant storage. So based on this, you are selecting, you'll be having your security over the data. Okay, so I'm going with the standard option only, G redundant storage, and then we'll go to the next options. So all these are something related to some connections things. No need to change any other things. So we'll go with all of the standard options only. And if you see here, data lake storage Gen 2. If you are creating a Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, we need to enable a hierarchical namespace. Okay. So if you enable a hierarchical namespace, then only it will be created as a ADLS Gen 2. If you are not enabling this one, it will be created as a blob storage. So that is the main difference you need to identify. Okay. If I'm creating like this review and create, it will be created a blob storage because I am not enabling hierarchical namespace. But if I enable hierarchical namespace, it is a ALS Gen 2. Okay. As I'm creating a ALS Gen 2 storage account, I am enabling this option. Okay, and if you see here downside, we have access tier options, hot and cold. So hot option will is when you are frequently accessing data on a day-to-day usage scenarios. And cold tier, we have infrequent access data and backup scenarios. Okay, so once in a while, like once in a 1 month or twice, like once in a 2 months, if you're accessing the storage account, if you're using that storage account, you can go for cool option. But if you're frequently asking, if you're using a storage account on daily day-to-day scenarios, then you can go for a hot tier. That is the difference. Based on this option you are selecting, that also will be chargeable. Okay, so cool is somewhat less chargeable as compared to hot. Okay, so that is the extra feature we have here available. So if you're accessing every day, you can go for hot, or also can go for cool. That is also we have option. Okay, and then next, if you go to networking, this is something related to networking, and this is something related to data protection. So all these things will be taken care of by your admin team. So no need to worry about all these things. Next, we have encryption, tags, review. So no need to change any other things. The only things what we have done here while creating, we have selected the resource group. We have given our storage account name, and then we have enabled a hierarchical namespace. That's it. These are the things you need to give for creating your AGLS chain to storage account. Just create it. Okay. So in this way, we'll create a storage account. Okay. You can see the deployment is in progress. In the meantime, what I do is it will take 1 minute to create it. In the meantime, I will go to the home page. I will also create a blob storage. Okay. How can we create a blob storage? The same process. Click on storage accounts. Go to storage accounts. Click plus. Create a new option. Select the same resource group that we have already created. Resource 2811. This time give the name. I will give this time the name I will give as a blob 2811. Okay, this is my storage account name. So if I go to advanced, if I click on enable hierarchical namespace, that will become as LS2. But I'm not creating LS2. LS2 I have already created. This time I'm creating a blob storage. I won't select this option. I will also all these other options. I will go with the standard options only. I'm not changing it. So that is the reason I will click on review plus create. Just I have selected a resource group, and I'm given a storage account name as a blob 2811. I'm creating that. That's it. Okay. So in such a way, you can create a storage accounts. A blob storage LHA2. Both we have covered how to create it. Only the difference is for LHA2, you have given option as a enable hierarchical namespace. Okay. Now, as I told, the resource group name we have given resource 2811. If you want to see all the services that you have created is available in the under that resource group or not, you can go to resource groups. You can search from here resource groups. So whenever you search a resource groups, you will get all these options. We need to open the resource groups option. Okay. So if there is any resource groups already available, you can see over here. But if you have created a new resource group, that resource group only available here. Okay. So as of now, there is a lot of resource groups already available. The one which we have created is resource 2811. I am going to open that. Okay. This is the resource group I have created. Now see, while creating all the services like Azure Data Factory, Catalyst Gen 2, Blob Storage, I have selected resource group as a resource 2011. So that is the reason all the services has come here at the same place. Now we can see there is a lot of options here. We can manage. We can manage all our resource groups from here. You can give security, properties, logs. You can give control who can able to access this group. So This is the benefit of having resource group. So by using a resource group, we can able to give the permissions and who can access these services at a time by using all these options. Okay. Also, if we click on delete resource group, if we delete this resource group, all the services also will be deleted at a time. Okay. So that is the reason we have all the services at one place under this resource group. Okay. Okay. So this is the the services that is required for today. This is just we have created, but in real time, we won't do all these things. Whatever we have done till now, this is only setup. We won't do all these things in the real time. Okay, just for our practice purpose, we have created all these services for setting up our pipeline. Okay, now what I will do is first I will open a blob storage account. Okay, I'm just opening this one. Today I will take blob storage as our source. Let us say this is your client source. You'll be having data available in this source. How can you copy this data from this place to another place? Okay. So after opening a blob storage, we can see something here. On the left side, we have containers. Let's open the containers. Okay. Right now, there is something called by default created as a logs. Okay. So this will not be your container name. Let us say I'm going to create a new container as a input. This is the container. Let us say this is the container available which contains some files inside it. So that also will do all the setup. I'm going to upload some file. Okay. Now just assume a scenario like this is your client place where he's having an input folder which contains one file or some files. You want to pick these files, you want to copy the destination. So what are the steps we need to do? All these things we'll see. So for practice purpose, I'm done all this setup. I've created a input account, input storage account, input folder name, and having a one file here. So this is the scenario. So this is our source. The same way I'm having a sink or destination we can call. So my sink or destination is ADLS Gen 2. Here also will be having a containers. Okay. Now if you observe the difference between blob storage and ADLS Gen 2, you can easily see. We have option here in the blob storage with the logo is somewhat like this, the square format. But in ADLS Gen 2, you can see the logo is somewhat different. It's like in the cylinder format. By seeing a logo itself, we can easily identify which is a blob storage, which is a headless chain. Okay, so that is a one difference. So other difference is like headless chain 2 is hierarchical namespace. That is the reason while creating a headless chain 2, we have enabled a hierarchical namespace. Okay, now I'm also setting up output. As I told, headless chain 2 we are using today for destination. So I will also set up here output folder. To this output folder, the data should be copied. Okay. Now, if we open the output folder, what are the options we have here? We have upload, add directory, refresh. So add directory in the sense, one subfolder will be created here. That option will not be available in the blob storage. If you open the input folder, you have only these three options: upload, change access level, refresh. But in relation to we have upload, add directory. So add directory in the sense we can create a subfolder. But in blob storage, you can't create a subfolder here. That is also one of the difference we have between blob storage and ALS Gen 2. Okay. So now this is what the setup is. Let us say this is the input data. I want to copy the data to a destination. That is a ALS Gen 2 output folder. So this is a requirement I'm having. How can we achieve this requirement is by using Azure Data Factory, by building Azure Data Factory pipeline. Let's go to Azure Data Factory. Let's start building Azure Data Factory pipeline now. I'm opening Azure Data Factory pipeline. Okay. Whenever you open Azure Data Factory, this is how your home page look like. Okay. So all these options will be having all this networking properties, all these things. Maybe your admin team will taking care of it. Our part is to develop a pipelines. Okay. So for this reason, we need to launch the studio. Just click on launch studio. So whenever you click on that option, one pop-up will come and your Azure Data Factory will be open. Okay. This is how your home page look like. While creating itself, we can give the repository. We can set up our code repository. If you're not given here there, you can also give from here. Okay, that is the option it is showing. As of now, we are not going to discuss this thing. Maybe in the upcoming sessions, we are going to cover that. Okay, as of now, we'll ignore this option. Okay, and the home page look like this. So ingest, orchestrate, transform, all these options are available. Okay, we will see all the tabs, what all the available things we have here, starting with the author tab. Okay, in the author tab, we can see pipelines. So if there is any pipelines already available, it will be showing here. And this is the data sets, data flows is used for transform the data. Power query this is used for analyzing the data. So all these things we have available here in the author tab. Okay. The same way we have monitor tab also. One more thing we have here is monitor tab. All the pipelines you are running here, you can see the status from here. What is the pipeline name? When it was started, when it was ended, how much duration, what is the duration, what is the status, whether it is a in progress, whether it is a succeeded, or it is a failure. We can see all our status over here. Okay, so that is why we have a author tab. We can also see the trigger runs. Okay, so all these things you can track from here based on this option. So right now we have Azure here. We will discuss also Azure here and all in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So if you want to track, if you want to monitor about your pipelines, you need to come to this tab. And then we have something called manage tab. So all these things like data factory settings, link services. So all the things link services that you have created, you can see over here. Integration runtimes. Okay. And then Microsoft preview. So this is used for taking backups. Okay. So all this is git configure, ARM template, triggers, global parameters. All these things we'll discuss one by one things in the upcoming sessions. Right now we'll focus on the linker services. Okay. So let's come to the linker service. Why we require linker service? What we discussed at the starting of the session. Why require a linker service? Okay. So we have discussed, right? So if you want to access the files that is available inside the folders, okay, we need to create a link service. We need to create a connection. Then only you can access all the files or folders. Now, if I talk about a blob storage, I'm having a blob storage input folder. Inside input folder, I'm having this file. If I want to access this file, I need to create a link service first to create a connection with the blob storage. Blob storage 28. This is a blob 2811 is my blob storage account name. So when I create a connection with this blob 2811, I can able to access the input folder on the file inside that. For that reason only, we are going to create a link service first. The very first thing after coming to Azure Data Factory, I am doing is I'm creating a link service. Okay, click on new. Whenever you click on new thing, it is asking, please select your source. See, there are a lot of sources available here. Amazon Marketplace, Amazon RDS, okay, Amazon S3, Amazon Redshift, Apache Impala, okay, Azure Blob Storage, all these options you can see. See, Cassandra, lot of open sources you can see here. File systems, GitHub, okay. Google Cloud Storage also accessible here. Google Sheets, HDFS. There are a lot of sources. From all these sources, we can pick the data. Based on your project, you can see here Salesforce, Snowflake. Okay. So based on our source, where data is available, you can create a link service for that. As of now, to cover the basic knowledge on the creating a link service and pipelines, I am taking source as a blob storage. That is what I'm going to select here. Today, my source is a blob storage. That is what I'm selecting here, blob storage. So after selecting the source, it will come to page where you need to give a link service name. So naming convention should be in a very proper way, starting with the ls link service. This is a link service for blob. I'm creating a link service for blob. That is what I have given here. And then we have options like something called integration runtime. What is the integration runtime you want to use? So I will go with the by default option right now, auto resolve integration runtime. We will discuss what is the integration runtime and all in the next session. So right now I'm going with this option only on authentication types. So there is a lot of authentication options available. Right now I'm going with the default option account key only. In the upcoming sessions, we can cover how the other authentication keys will work. Okay, how the authentication types will work. We will also cover that in the upcoming sessions. Okay. Also here we have connection string option, Azure keywords string, Azure keywords option. This is also will cover in the upcoming sessions. As of now, I'm going with the standard option only. Okay. So right now, yes, we have given link to service name, and then here we are going to select a subscription. Azure subscription. Right now, I'm having a free tail, so I'm going to use a free tail only. Okay. And storage account. What is our storage account name? What is the storage account name we have given for our source? Anyone remember? What is our source storage account name?
ADLS 2811.
ADLS 2811 is a destination storage account name, but source storage account name is blob
Blob
2811.
2811.
Okay, so if you have a lot of storage accounts available here, you need to select your proper source name only. You should not select a different storage account. Okay, so my source is blob 2811. That is what I selected here. Okay, so that is the only thing we need to do. We need to create a click a link to service option. What is our source? That is a blob storage. I have selected blob storage. I have given a blob storage link to service for blob as a storage link to service name I have given, and then storage account name I have selected here, so that I can access all the data inside the storage account. Okay. So before can create option, will also see test connection. If the connection is successful, this means we can able to create a connection and able to access data from the blob area 2811. If the connection is failed, the connection is getting failed means you are doing some mistakes here in some of the steps. Okay, if the connection is successful, then only we can able to access the data from the that link service. Okay, so make sure you check that point before creating a blob storage or any of the linked service. Okay, so in this way we'll create a linked service. You can see this is the linked service for blob storage. You can also see the type Azure blob storage. Okay, in the same way I'm going to create a one more linked service that is for ADLS Gen2 because I also want to access the output folder so that then only I can copy my data from blob storage to ADLS Gen2. Okay, so I'm going to click a new again. This time what is my destination? ADLS Gen2. So you can search for this way. If you search ADLS, you won't get that option because it is in the full form Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. So that is the reason I'm searching as a Gen2. It got filtered out. Okay, this is my destination. I'm selecting this one. After selecting this one, click on continue. We will name it as linked service for Gen2. You can give anything, linked service for Gen2, linked service for ALS. You can use something. I'm naming it as a linked service for Gen2. Okay, these options also I will go with the standard options. Other subscription free tail, and our destination storage account name is ADLS 2811. This is what available here. So let's select this test connection, create it. Okay, so in this way I'll create a linked service. So you can see this linked service for Azure Blob Storage, this linked service for Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. So now we have created a linked service. By using those linked services, we can easily able to access the input folder, the files from the input folder, and where you want to copy the data, to copy the output folder. So in output folder, there is nothing now. So after we copy the data will come here. So to access the input folder, to access the output folder, we need to create a now data sets by using these linked services. So data sets are available in other tab. Let's go back to the other tab here. Okay, we have something called here data sets. So I'm going to create a data set from here. Okay, click on this one, click on new data set. Okay, now, so there is for which source you are creating a data set is asking. I'm creating a data set for source first, then I will create a data set for destination. So first I'm getting for source, my source is a blob storage. So again I need to select here blob storage only. Okay, so once I select a blob storage as my source, then it will ask us the file format. So what are the file formats your containers is having? You can see the input folder I'm having a containers, the file format as a CSV. So please make a practice of building a pipeline with the CSV file formats only, because in 90 to 99% scenarios, you will come across CSV file formats only in real time. So as of now, my input folder is having a file format as CSV. I am going to select a CSV file format only here. Okay. Then it will ask for dataset name. So I will name this as a dataset for source. Okay. So this is what my source, that is a blob. Okay. Either you can give dataset for blob or dataset for source, or I can give dataset for blob, which is a source. Okay. Anything you can give dataset name on your word. Okay. And then it will ask for linked service. From which linked service you want to access the data. So if there is a lot of linked services available, you can select what is the one you have created. As of now, we have only one linked service available for blob storage that just now we have created. So I am going to select that one only. So right now there is no other options available here other than linked service. So immediately after selecting the linked service, see it is asking for a file path. So this will help us to access the input folder from the blob storage. That is the reason we have created linked service. Now I can able to access the data from the blob storage input folders. So in this way, I can able to access the data with the help of a linked service. Without a linked service, you cannot access the data. So linker service just like a creation connection point, just create a connection to the blob storage, and then with the help of data set, we are picking the data. So why we are creating this data set? To pick the input file, this file. Why we are creating a linker service? To create a connection point. So these are the differences between linker service and data set. The data set, we can able to pick the exact file you want to copy to the destination. Okay. So in this way, I browse the path and I can able to pick the file. I will click the option as a first as a header. If I'm not giving a first as a header, by default it will take something as a header. So that is the reason this also should be enabled. Click on OK. Okay. So in this way, we will create a data set. After creating a data set, we can see something like this. Under data set, we can see one. Okay. You can also see what is the data you're having in this file that you have selected by using a preview data option. Okay. So right now I'm having this data in this file. I'm having only 3 records that I can see from here. Okay. So this is like we create a data set for source. I will also create a one more data set that is for my destination. Click on new data set. Okay, what is my destination now? My destination is ALS chain 2. Let's select ALS chain 2. Continue. The destination also I want to place my files in the CSV file format only. So let's select the CSV also here. Continue. These I will name it as a dataset for Gen 2. Gen 2 we will call it that as a sync. Okay. Linker service for Gen 2 we have already created. So whenever I use this option, I can able to access to the path. Okay. So to the ALS Gen 2 storage account, I want to select the output. So to this output, the file will be copied, the data will be copied. Okay. So that is how we need to create a data set where we want to place the data. That path we need to give here. Here also we need to give first as a header. Just click on OK. Okay. So now we can easily identify the difference between linker service and dataset. Linker service is just like a connection point that is able to access the data, but by using a storage account. This is a source storage. This is a source data set where exactly your data is available that you picked, and we have also created one more data set where you want to place the data to the output folder. In this way, we need to create a linker services and data sets. So once linker services and data sets are available, then we can build a pipeline easily. Let's go to pipeline here. Click on new pipeline. So I'm creating a new pipeline here. Copy the data. So if you want to copy the data, we need to use a copy activity. We need to select a source data set. We need to select a sync data set when we can easily copy the data. Okay. So that is the reason we need to have a pipeline. I will name this as a pipeline for copy. Just copying it. Okay. So as I told, there is a lot of activities available here. You can see there are a lot of activities available here. Okay. So in general, we have all these activities. You can see there are a lot of activities in iteration and controls. Also, we have a lot of activities. Okay. So we will cover all the activities one by one in the upcoming sessions. But for today, we'll use only copy activity. So if you want to copy data from one place to another place, simply we can use a copy activity. Okay. See, these are the options we have available in copy activity. Suppose if you want to rename it, right now it is a copy space data one. So if you want to make it a just copy, change it. Okay. And then we have timeout seconds. So maximum amount of time an activity can run. Okay. So default time is 12 hours. So it is 12 hours. So if you run the pipeline, just keep on running more than 12 hours, it will get terminated. Okay. So the cutout time, like the maximum time we can give is 12 hours. That is what we have available here. After 12 hours, If pipeline is still running, it will terminate it. Okay. Then retry. How many times you can retry? Okay. So as of now, the option we have given is a 0. So based on the retry options you can give that many times, you can keep on retrying your copy activity. And retry interval seconds. So if you want to do retry for multiple times based on how many seconds gap. So right now the standard option is 30 seconds. So if you click on retry option, you need to wait for 30 more seconds. After 30 seconds, you can do retry again. Okay. And then we have something called secure input and output. So this is what we use for doing a login. We'll discuss these things in the upcoming sessions. So right now the main thing you can see source one, it is showing synchronizing. So this is two places where the mandatory fields are. Okay, so this is the mandatory fields you need to fill. So the source mandatory field is asking as a source data set. Source data set we have already created data set for blob as a source. We can simply select from the top now. That's it. So you can also create a new data set from here. Don't select anything here. Suppose if I'm not selecting anything here, we can create a new from there. So if I'm not selecting anything here, option call it new. So you can create a data set from here also. But to make sure you should have a strong basic knowledge, I have created data set from here itself. Okay. After creating there, I'm just selecting here. Okay. Let's minimize this. Here also you can see preview data option. So what is the data that is available to copy in the source? You can preview it. Okay. So this is the data we have available in the source that is ready to copy to the destination. So now the source settings, everything is done. Simply we have created source data set. We have selected that in the source. We have some other options also available here in the source. We will discuss all those options in the upcoming sessions. Now we'll go to the sync set. Sync also, it will ask a dataset to select. If you don't have any dataset created for sync, we can create it from here itself. But we have already created a sync dataset. You can see dataset for Gen to sync. So I'm going to select that one. Okay, that's it. The data that is available in the source, we also seen that data by using a preview data option. That data is going to copy to the destination, that is sync dataset that we have given here. The destination we have selected output folder. To that output folder, the data will be copied. Okay. So that is all the things we have. We need to give only source and sync. Now we have options available here, debug, trigger now. Okay. So by using a debug now, as of now, we can run it. What are the other options? We're going to discuss that in the upcoming sessions. As of now, by using a debug option, I am running this pipeline. Okay. See here, the status is in queued. It will turn into in progress. Then see, it got succeeded immediately. So data is copied. We can see output in a big picture here. From where to where, from blob storage to LHN to data is copied. File sheet. There is a one file in the source that is copied at destination. File set is one file. This is the data size. Okay. And how many seconds it has taken? It has taken 6 seconds as a copy duration. Okay. So this is how we'll copy the data. Now let's go to LHN2. So earlier we see there is no data in the output folder, but if you open now output folder, we can see some data. See here at 8:32 a.m. one file is copied. We can also open this file and what is the data it has copied. Okay, see there is data available. Okay, so this is the like a process for copying data from one place to another place. So to make sure you should have some strong basic knowledge, I have copied data from blob storage to LHN2. Okay, so that is it for today. So we have covered like how to create a storage accounts, how to create a Azure Data Factory. All those things we won't do in a real time. Just for our practice purpose, we have set up all those things. The main thing what we do is we'll create a link for service data sets. building pipelines. This is what your work. So after setting up all those things, we have created a link service first to create a connection with those storage accounts. Then we have created a data sets to pick the data and where you want to place the data. For that purpose, we have created data sets. And then by using a pipeline, by using a copy activity, I copy data from one place to another place. Okay. So let's come back to the slides. Okay. So we have these are the other data factory components. We have mostly covered link service. We have covered data sets. We have covered activities. We have covered a copy activity for today. Pipeline we have covered. Integration runtime we have seen. We used today. We used auto result integration runtime. So we'll see in detail about integration runtime in the upcoming session. Trigger also will cover in the upcoming session. So all these things, integration runtime, trigger, mapping data flows, all these three things I will discuss in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So if you want definitions, we have here link service are much like connection strings, which define the connection information that is needed for Azure Data Factory to connect to the external sources. Basically, to create a connection with the sources or sinks, we list this one. And then by using a data sets, we will be able to access data. Okay, this is somewhat a definition we have. Data sets represent data structures within the data source, which simply points to data you want to use in your activities as a input or output. Okay, and then we have activities. So it represents a processing step in a pipeline. Suppose if you want to copy data from one place to another place, we will use a copy activity. This is like also example we have. And then pipeline is a large scale grouping of activities that performs a unit of work. Okay, and the remaining things, integration runtime, trigger, mapping, data flows. We'll discuss about this in the upcoming sessions in detail. Also, we have covered the difference between blob storage and LS2. Blob storage is used for general purpose storage. Gen 2 is used for big data analytical purposes. So when you're dealing with a large set of data, people will opt for LS2. Okay, that is the main difference. And then blob storage is a flat namespace, LS2 is a hierarchical namespace. Okay. So we have enabled hierarchical namespace. What exactly is this flat namespace and hierarchical namespace is, while creating ALS Gen2, we can also create a subfolders. There is option available in ALS Gen2, but that option is not available in Blob storage. So we cannot create a subfolders inside the main folder. Okay. Also, Blob storage has some size limits over file level and folder level, but ALS Gen2 doesn't have any size limits. Okay. See, today itself we have covered some intro questions like what are Azure Data Factory components? If someone asks you what are Azure Data Factory components, these are the things we have. What is the difference between link service and dataset? If they ask you, you can tell this thing. And if they ask you what is the difference between blob storage and relation, you can tell these things. So see, today in the first session itself, we have covered some 3 to 4 interview questions. Okay. So every day, so whatever, every day I will discuss some 2 to 3 interview questions. Keep like in sync with these interview questions. And if someone asks you the next day, you should be in a position to answer these questions. Okay. So that is it we have today. If anyone has any questions, you can ask, or else we can end the session. There is one question developers can only do to create a linguistic dataset mapping and creating pipeline. Yes. So developer work is mainly on Azure Data Factory environment. So admin related things, networking related things, admin will take care. You only work on this part, Azure Data Factory, author tab. This is your work. Okay. All other things will be taken care by a admin team. Any other doubts? Anyone has any other doubts? Is it clear to everyone? Are you able to follow what we have discussed today? Dinesh, Jagadish, Prabhavati, Prem. Okay. So if no more questions, source can anything. Okay, yeah. Source can be anything based on your client requirement. To make sure you should have strong knowledge. So we have discussed about CSV files. We'll also cover how to bring the data tables from databases. How can you copy that to the storage account? All these things we can see in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So if no more questions, that's it for today. Thanks everyone.